Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 279. We are now seeing articles about how Tesla's full self-driving tech is in trouble because of Chinese auto tech giant. And we continue to see Tesla sales rise in many countries around the world, as predicted, despite the haters trying to tell us otherwise. And autonomous vehicles might get a little easier to get on the street faster with a new framework for autonomous vehicles in the US and maybe also in China. And while everyone is screaming about Tesla's demand problem, Volkswagen plans to reduce production capacity in Germany by 734,000 vehicles per year. And a Swedish pension fund said that it has blacklisted Tesla. And a semi-truck driver shows that an electric semi-truck has paid off the extra CO2 in production in only 3.5 months. And we had the USAID officials and 3 company executives plead guilty in fraud. So I guess Elon was right. All of this and much more in today's episode. Start right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
We are now seeing articles about Tesla's full self-driving tech is in trouble because of Chinese auto tech giants. Like BYD, that now offers a full self-driving software on basically all models, but they don't really talk in the article about BYD having 3 different systems with different sensors and so on. And we have really not seen BYD's full self-driving working very well in real life yet. And it was only 2 years ago that a spokesperson for BYD argued that self-driving technology is basically impossible and should be relegated to industrial applications. I reported on this at the time. BYD did not believe in full self-driving technology, and why I said back then that if that's the case, BYD will only rise quickly now, but their cars will become irrelevant quickly when full self-driving is solved. But now, BYD suddenly believes in full self-driving tech, and Reuters think they are suddenly some of the leaders in full self-driving coming out of basically nowhere. I have to disagree strongly on this point. BYD has a long way to go, as they are not really building an AI brain but relying on a mountains of sensors. If you know just a little bit about this, you know they are going at it the wrong way, just as Ray for Tesla also pointed out. BYD's so-called God's Eye is nowhere near Tesla's full self-driving. It does have a lot of perception sensors, just like other competing systems in China, but what matters is the actual performance. Currently, God's Eye consistently rank at the bottom among all leading systems in China based on test reviews. Without pure end-to-end neural network and massive compute, which BYD's and other competitors lack, God's Eye will not reach the level of full self-driving. If vision and AI combined can solve autonomous driving, why do you need LiDAR, radar, and ultrasonic sensors? And as Charles also pointed out on X, BYD's autonomous driving system is the worst, even in China, and they are very generous in paying for media promotion. 2 years ago, the company's CEO, Wang Changfu, was still mocking autonomous driving as a scam, but now he claims it's on par with Tesla. Why would Reuters publish such fake contents? Yes, like Elon realized 3 years ago, you need to solve AI vision to have autonomous cars that can drive in any scenario everywhere on the planet. And BYD has not begun on this journey yet, just as Elon just said. People think you can just buy NVIDIA hardware and get to full self-driving cars, but that is simply not how it works. And BYD is not building a big AI training computer and collecting mountains of data. I am willing to bet that BYD is a long way out from solving full self-driving, and they will probably end up partnering with someone instead, as they are starting way too late on this journey. So it don't have to be Tesla they partner with, could be Huawei or some other Chinese player, but I don't think they will solve it by themselves, as they have just started now, just as Tesla have solved unsupervised full self-driving that they are already testing in Austin. So sure, if you compare to what Tesla has in Europe, Tesla doesn't seem to be far ahead, but that is not the software that is driving the robo-taxis right now in Austin. And I don't see BYD as a leader in full self-driving cars, not even close. And in an ideal world, surfing the internet should be as private as a whispered secret. Unfortunately, that is not the reality we live in. With just a click, our data can be compromised. That is why I always rely on a VPN security. With a VPN, neither hacker nor internet provider can spy or steal your data. Everything from email to banking details is encrypted, allowing me to focus on my work without security concerns. Today, I'm excited to introduce our sponsor, Private Internet Access, or PIA, a top-tier VPN provider. PIA stands out as one of the largest and most trusted VPNs globally, not just for its extensive network of nearly 30,000 servers, but also for one that is committed to transparency. Their VPN is 100% open sourced, inviting everyone to examine their security and privacy practices, a level of openness almost unmatched in the industry. I personally use PIA during my travels, like when I was in England for my other travel nomadic doing the Olympics, but abroad I couldn't access my Danish TV station. But with PIA, I simply switched my location to Denmark and voila, problem solved. Plus, it is great to access regional specific content on platforms like Netflix, open up a world of entertainment not limited by geography. So watching Netflix without PIA is like paying for a director's cut but only seeing the trailer. But PIA doesn't just mask your IP, it encrypts your entire internet connection, safeguard your digital footprints. This is crucial in an era where our lives is increasingly online, accessible from any device. And it is comparable with all major streaming services, ensuring you can enjoy your favorite shows without restrictions, and on limited devices as well. So what are you waiting for? Take control over your online privacy. By clicking my link in the description, you can secure an 83% discount on PIA, bringing your cost down to just $2.03 a month. Plus, you will get 4 months for free. And it's a risk-free decision with PIA's 30-day money-back guarantee and round-the-clock customer service. So don't miss out on the online privacy we all deserve. Click the link below to protect yourself with Private Internet Access. And a huge thanks to PIA for sponsoring this video. And we continue to see Tesla sales rising fast in many countries around the world, despite the haters trying to tell us otherwise. And we saw some very nice videos of Tesla's so-called demand problem. Remember how Fred Lambert told everyone that Tesla's sales in China were collapsing? Well, here is a video shared by TC Messler of so many Tesla Model Ys it takes a minute just to drive past the queue. As he writes, they are all patiently waiting in line to head to the Xi'an delivery center. So this is just one delivery center in China. But as he also shared, what happened inside the Xi'an delivery center this morning is also absolutely amazing. It is full of new Teslas to be delivered, and the sheer volume of customers awaiting deliveries there completely shatter any notion of demand issue. Yes, Tesla does not have a demand issue. They have a supply issue, but that will be very clear in the second half of this year. And we also saw good strong sales in Singapore, as Roland reported. May was not just a good month, it was the best month ever, up 16% versus second best month. And Tesla was up 98% versus May last year. And it was the best quarter ever for the second month of a quarter, and up 104% versus the same period last quarter. So it looks like strong demand to me. We can also take a look at the UK demand on Roland's chart here. And as you can see, it is happening just as we have been predicting. People were screaming about how Tesla sales had collapsed in the UK, telling me that I was so wrong about this, but I kept saying this is not a demand problem but a supply problem because of the refreshed Model Y, and the longer we are going into 2025, the more Tesla sales will grow again as inventory gets filled up. And here we can see Tesla was dead last in the UK, but over the past couple of weeks, their sales have skyrocketed, and Tesla is now on track to overtake all the other top 8 BEV brands in the UK this quarter. So the haters better enjoy the few months they have left of this demand problem they have been claiming to for the last 6 months, because it will go away like all the other many times through the last decade mainstream media has been screaming about Tesla's demand problem. Let's head down to Spain. Roland got us covered there again, and as you can see, the same trend is happening down there. Over the last couple of weeks, Tesla sales has soared. Wonder why that is. Could that have anything to do with Tesla finally getting inventory filled up again? Well, in Spain, Tesla is already the best-selling brand. Tesla has been competing with BYD in Spain to become the best-selling BEV brand this quarter, but Tesla shifted up a gear in June. What a surprise. And if we only look at June in Spain, we can see that everything seems to be back to normal. There is Tesla and then everyone else. Autonomous vehicles might get a little easier to get on the street faster with the new framework of autonomous vehicles in the US and maybe also in China. NHTSA has announced the next step in the new autonomous vehicle framework, looking to ease rules hindering Tesla's cybercabs and others. The Trump administration is taking steps that would make it easier for automakers to deploy self-driving cars without driver controls. NHTSA anticipates reaching decisions on most exceptions requests within months rather than years. Nice. And currently rules require automakers that want to deploy self-driving cars designed without a steering wheel and brake pedals to seek an exception from federal safety standards that effectively requires that new cars have human driving controls. NHTSA will streamline that exception process, which under current policy has resulted in lengthy processing time that can last years, the entity said in a letter posted to its website this week. NHTSA anticipate publishing an enhanced instruction shortly and will begin implementing the modified approach to evaluating exemption requests immediately. And we are also seeing a significant policy shift in China, where draft guidelines, so I don't think they are 100% approved yet, but one step closer, that will permit Tesla to use local driving data for full self-driving technology, reversing the previous restrictions that hindered its AI training and gave Chinese competitors like BYD an edge with subsidized data access, as noted in a Reuters report on China's EV market dynamics. This timing aligned with US regulators easing by the NHTSA as we just talked about, streamlining exceptions for autonomous vehicles like Tesla's Cybercab, potentially amplifying Tesla's global full self-driving rollout and challenging the narrative of regulatory stagnation, as reported by the NHTSA update, and now also by China, and maybe even in Europe, as I talked about in my Overflow News Show number 31. And we often hear people say that they would never take a robotaxi because they don't trust it. But Dylan Loomis from Electrified shared some research from Obi, a company that tracked rideshare data, that just released its latest report that showed that when people get used to robotaxis, they will, hands down, choose a robotaxi over the ride-hailing with a human inside, as the study showed that 70% of people prefer a driverless experience, which should come as no surprise, as Dylan writes. Robotaxis and Cybercab for the win. Yes, indeed. But we still have quite a while to go to educate people on robotaxis and AI and the safety it will bring, as the study also showed, as Dylan wrote. If you need proof that most people are clueless when it comes to Tesla, autonomy and AI, here you go. Only 31% of people think autonomous vehicle will be safer than humans in the next 5 years. Yes, people are in for one hell of a shock when the data comes out about robotaxis' safety compared to humans. It will become the other way around, that people will think it was crazy that we had humans with no AI safety on board driving around at 80 miles an hour, and it will come faster than most people think. But no wonder why so many people don't know what Tesla software is capable of, as the mainstream media will never report on anything good about it, just like tech geek Tesla wrote on X. Here is a funny but true story. US Reuters Tech News sent a reporter to Chicago last year around this time to see how well Tesla's full self-driving would perform for a ride-share service like Uber or Lyft. I offered to film downtown, but they chose the suburb so it wouldn't take up too much of my time. They also reached out to others like Homar's blog, so a reporter got into my car with a giant camera and we filmed my car pick up someone in Schaumburg. Full self-driving drove us flawless across the city streets, highway, over railroad tracks, not touching the wheel, no touching of the pedals. The passenger's reaction was speechless. But the drive didn't fit the narrative of Reuters' article, so they scrapped the whole thing. Yeah, mainstream media just want to report on how bad Tesla software is, not that they have solved full self-driving for a general solution that is now driving autonomously in Austin. But in the end, the technology always wins. And while we only hear about Tesla's demand problem in Europe from the haters and the mainstream media, well, the ones truly struggling is legacy automakers, as Volkswagen plans to cut production capacity with more than 700,000 units in Germany. As Alex shared on X, Volkswagen plans to reduce production capacity in Germany by 734,000 vehicles per year. 4 factories in Germany are on the reduction list and 2 may be closed or sold. Volkswagen is planning extensive savings in both personnel and production. It's already known that 36,000 employees will be reduced over the next 5 years and that 20,000 employees have already agreed to terminate their contract due to high severance payments. What is new is that the production capacity, which describes the maximum possible production volume, is to be reduced by 734,000 vehicles per year. However, Automobilwoche also published concrete figures from the internal list. According to this, capacity at the Wolfsburg plant is to be reduced by 500,000 units. A maximum of 800,000 vehicles can be produced annually at the main plant in Wolfsburg. However, only 523,000 units were produced in 2024. This would mean that last year's production volume at the main plant would be almost completely eliminated by 100%. At the Zwickau plant, which is Volkswagen's pure EV factory that was retooled for 1.2 billion euros and took 26 months, so longer than it took Tesla to build a whole new factory in Berlin. Volkswagen is planning to reduce that plant with 170,000 units, which correspond to around half of the maximum capacity of 300,000 units, so a reduction of 50%. Last year, 204,000 vehicles were built there. The plant in Osnabrück is to contribute 56,000 units to achieve the saving targets. In 2024, only 35,000 vehicles were produced here, a reduction of 100%, as the T-Roc Cabrio is only to be built in Osnabrück until 2027. The future of the plant is uncertain. There is information that the defense group Rheinmetall could take over the site in order to produce military vehicles here. The Rheinmetall manager have already been on site several times to get accurate picture of the assembly and have assessed the site positively. Capacity of the Gläserne manufacture in Dresden is to be reduced by 8,000 units. A total of 5,500 units were built there in 2024. It is a small production facility that serves as a showroom for customers. The reduction in Dresden is therefore greater than 100%. Yeah, I don't think most people get just how huge this is, as we don't really hear about this in the mainstream media. But Volkswagen's roughly production capacity in Germany with available information is about 1.7 million units. So the reduction of 734,000 units will be somewhere around 44% reduction in capacity. That is not a little reduction. We also know that Germany is already running on low utility rate at the factories, as their actual production last year was just above 1 million units. So the reduction relative to 2024 actual production, well, that is something like 72% of actual production capacity. Just to put the numbers into some perspective of how huge these numbers are, even for someone like Volkswagen. Combine that with Volkswagen that have lost 1 million units in sales in China over the last 5 years, it does not come as a surprise that Volkswagen is hurting and desperately trying to find ways to save money, as they are collapsing right in front of our eyes. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this news show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. A Swedish pension fund, AP7, said this week that it has blacklisted Tesla from its holding and has sold the entire stack in the company. Wow. Bad timing, if you ask me. AP7 has decided to blacklist Tesla due to verified violation of labor rights in the United States. AP7 says Tesla has not done anything to address the issues it cited for selling its stakes. One of the things is, of course, that Tesla don't want to be in a union. And I must say, I completely understand that, but there might be other stuff that Tesla has to fix. But what a time to be selling Tesla holding. I'm pretty sure its customers will not be happy about that decision in 5, 10, 15 years looking back. Just like Gary Black that sold his entire stake in Tesla as well, but is still calling the robotaxi launch in Austin a new era for Tesla. So why would you sell your Tesla stock just before this huge new era? Yeah, I just don't get it. And a little tip from Tesla: if you set up pin to drive, a thief would not be able to drive off in your Tesla even if they somehow gain access to your keycard, phone or vehicle. The pin pad also appears in a slightly different place on the screen every time, so finger graze doesn't give away your pin. Now that's very cool. And Full Self-Driving version 13 still continues to impress in China. Just look at this little video of the car handling this situation with small narrow roads full of pedestrian and parked cars and so much more. Just very, very impressive. We even saw it driving on water. Yeah, in China they are pushing the Full Self-Driving system to the limits. And after the new refreshed Model S and X was revealed, as I talked about in my Overflow News show, Nick shared this picture and wrote, "New Tesla production lineup prices." And that is one hell of a nice lineup, with prices starting at $42,000 and all the way up to $105,000. And we can expect some more models to come along very soon. And Donald Trump shows again that he simply does not understand renewable energy generation, just like he didn't understand electric cars. Thought they couldn't go over long distance and take hours to charge, but now he is showing off that he doesn't know anything about energy generation either. As he said, it's one of the greatest scams, and is also the most expensive energy. Environmentally, it's a horrible thing. And he's talking about wind turbines. That is the main driver of our renewable energy here in Denmark. But anyway, well, that is just ridiculous. Nuclear, that he said is much cheaper, is the most expensive for energy generation. And if he wants to catch up with China in energy generation, not to get left behind in the AI race, nuclear is definitely not the way, as it is the one that takes the longest to build. Solar and wind are the cheapest form of energy generation today, as gov.uk has also shown before. And if Trump is ever in doubt, he can just ask the artificial intelligence. Even Grok knew this one. Based on available data, onshore wind and solar PV are the cheapest electricity sources. Yep, Trump, get your facts straight, man. And Robbie wrote, when Elon Musk said that the USAID was one big fraud operation, he wasn't kidding. These fat cat criminals are finally being held accountable. As we could read, USAID official and 3 company executives pled guilty in fraud and bribery schemes involved in at least 14 contracts worth over $550 million. USAID official Roderick Watson took bribe, was showered with lavish gift, including cash, laptops, thousands of dollars in ticket to a suite at the NBA games, a country club wedding, down payment on 2 residential mortgages, cell phones, and job for relatives. In exchange for the bribe payment, Watson influenced the award of contracts by manipulating the procurement process at USAID. Watson faced a maximum penalty of 15 years in prison. And that is just one example. I will bet there is many more to come. And Art Guayado, or something like that, got these insane nice pictures of the Tesla robotaxis in Austin, with the little robotaxi logos on the front and with no driver in the driver's seat. Very cool. And Tesla sued a former engineer with the company's highly secretive Optimus program, accusing him of stealing confidential information about the humanoid robot and setting up a rival startup in Silicon Valley. Less than a week after he left Tesla, Perception was incorporated according to the complaints, and within just 5 months, Perception publicly claimed to have successfully built advanced humanoid robot hands that bear a striking resemblance to the design Lee worked on at Tesla. And Laraffen shared this video and wrote, "The German YouTuber Electro-Trucker set out to educate people on electrification of the trucking industry. Recently, he did a quick and dirty real-world calculation of what emission looks like when comparing diesel to BEV trucks. The result? Only 3.5 months to break even. And as the driver is saying in the video, the truck will last another 10 years. It's insane. Yes, it is insane that some people still don't get this. And not all of Wall Street is against Tesla, as Sawyer shared on X. Jeff Kilberg today on Tesla. "I think it continues to be a buy. If you're short, you're really going to be in trouble. I just bought a 2026 Model Y and I used the full self-driving for 350 miles and I was blown away. I had a lot of anxiety doing it, but after 5 minutes I was comfortable. I was a combustion engine guy for a long time, but now I am a Tesla owner." Yes, and many more to come. And Matt Watson from CarWow have just gone completely anti-EV, as he has just spread some thought that we have to debunk. He's trying to see if you can just stop for 5 to 10 minutes when you have to pee and get a cup of coffee anyway. But the so-called test he's doing is with the battery at 82%. What are you doing, man? That's when you stop charging. As charging becomes very slow, you start your journey from the charging station with about 80% on the battery, and then you fill it up and get a cup of coffee and go pee when you have used like 50 to 60%. Just like I did the other day, Matt. I came to the charger with 16%, went to take a pee and bought a cup of coffee, and then I came back to the car and I just checked my phone and waited for another 5 minutes. And all in all, I charged for 14 minutes and added 33.5 kilowatt hours, so went from 16 to 68% and went on my merry way. So can you charge when you stopped for a pee and a coffee? Yes, Matt, you can. I have been doing that for the last 6 years on road trip all around Europe. But Matt even got community noted because of the bad test here, as that did not represent anything you would ever do in real life. That was one of the stupidest tests I have ever seen. And AJ made a deep dive into Tesla's and BYD financial that show BYD is not as strong as many things that we have been talking about many times before. But AJ's post revealed that BYD's reported $13.9 billion cumulatively free cash flow since 2010, but that marks a significant cash flow deficit, adjusted to negatively $5.2 billion for a 72-day days payable outstanding, or DPO, aligned with Tesla's, based on company filings analyzed by AJ. And as you can see, it shows Tesla's $16.1 billion cumulated free cash flow over the same period outperformed BYD by $21.3 billion when DPO is standardized, challenging the narrative of BYD's financial superiority in the EV market. And some historical context from Berkshire Hathaway's 2022 selling of BYD stock, driven by cash flow concern and geopolitical risk, aligned with this analysis from AJ, suggesting investors overlook DPO adjustment that inflate BYD's liquidity matrix. And Chinese government has also held a meeting telling BYD to stop the price war, as this is hurting the entire industry. And Waymo wrote, "We have found that AI scaling laws hold true in autonomous vehicle software, and real-world performance can be improved by increasing training data and compute." What? No kidding, Waymo. You are a little late to the party. But nice to see you are catching up, understanding what Tesla has been working on for half a decade. They do say better late than never, but I might think you are too late to the party, as Waymo is not able to get the training data like Tesla, with Tesla's 8 million cars on the road collecting data, where Waymo has 1,500 cars collecting data, and Tesla has one of the biggest AI training computers in the world. There is just no catching up to Tesla's lead in this regard, but nice to see Waymo waking up. Maybe in a year or two they will realize that neural network are the right way to go. And Starlink posted, "Congrats to SpaceX team on completing the first generation Starlink direct-to-call constellation. Working with cellular providers around the world, direct-to-cell enables unmodified cell phones to have connectivity in the most remote areas." Nice. And before we end off with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest supporters of this channel. My new YouTube members: Peter Johnson, G. Brocklebank, Tron Håkansson, Christoph Henkes, Peter Bodil, and Kenny Dahlroth. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this show. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. And the Oscar goes to... That is all we have time for in this new show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot, so others can find it on YouTube. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And if you're already a subscriber to the channel, thank you so much for the support. But if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel, or become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out as some extra perks like early access, ad-free versions of my videos, exclusive videos. So hit the members button or check out Patreon to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on X. I post pretty much all the news as it comes out and a lot more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. It is also possible to support the show without becoming a member or a patron. There is a donation option down below or on my website bestintesla.com. You can also become an executive producer and get news articles, exclusive videos, behind the scenes, and access to all my research charts and spreadsheets, also on bestintesla.com, or as simple as hitting the super like button. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.